It's entitled Train Your Perception to Uphold the View. The view being true nature. So, hope you enjoy it.
I think one of the most beneficial ways to accumulate merit is to train one's mind. It's not always easy in our society, and probably that's why it has so much value, for us to do particular things that are suggested in lists of projects that you can take an interest in. And to look at those, it's pretty easy, but it's pretty easy to see what it is that we should do, but it's in our society often difficult. For instance, one of the things that we're told we can do is to save the lives of those who might ordinarily die. Easy to do if you're a nurse or a doctor. Well, not so easy, but doable. If you have that kind of occupation, it's very good in one way, because not only are you benefiting others, but it's also right occupation. You're benefiting your practice as well, particularly if you understand that you should dedicate the merit. So if you're some sort of nurse or doctor, and you are benefiting others, and you're not doing it for selfish reasons. In other words, you're doing it out of a true sense of altruism, compassion. Of course, you have to get paid, but your heart is good regarding that. This is a handy-dandy way to do it. But for most people, we don't have a job like that. You're lucky if you're a veterinarian, because you can help save lives there too. They don't have to be human to be of value. And you're lucky if you are a zookeeper, because often your care is what keeps those animals living. But what if you're a butcher? Well, maybe you don't actually kill anything, but maybe you cut the stuff up. So you somewhere hooked into karmically that train of events. You may not actually have killed the animal. You may not engage in the slaughter being a Buddhist, but cutting it up, you're somehow connected to that range of events. Not directly, you didn't kill, but you're in there, in the mix somewhere. And as a Buddhist, it would be best to leave that occupation go and maybe try another one. If you are, let's say, a gardener, well, in one way that's good because you get to nurture plants, but it's mixed because you also get to kill lots of bugs, lots of little beings that aren't really noticeable. You don't really see them. I mean, we walk on them every day and don't know that they're there. Our mindfulness has not grown to that extent yet, unfortunately. So that's a mixed thing. Well, let's say you work at McDonald's. Well, there's a whole karmic package that goes with that, too. I don't think I have to go into that. There are books about it. fast food nation and so forth. So for most of us, the jobs that we have, even if they're benign, maybe we're an electrician, maybe we work at a bank, maybe whatever, it's usually a mixed bag of tricks. It's hard to find a job that's straight merit producer. That's really hard. So for most of us, do we ever have the opportunity to save lives? In a small way, maybe. Now we don't swat our flies anymore. We take them outside. We escort our spiders. People that are young, I remember when my daughter was growing up, and my sons as well, when they would escort spiders outside and not step on the worms and things like that, their friends thought they were really bizarre. Like, what is your problem? Because they were taught, a spider is nothing, you just step on it, then it's gone. But my children, and hopefully your children, are being taught that life is life, and that it's precious, and that every little creature has the potential to be Buddha. Maybe not as a spider. Spider Buddhas are rare. But then so are Buddhas in general. So we have to think of all life as being equal, that each one has that potential, the potential for growth, the potential for practice, the potential for life in some future time. Hopefully someday the spider will become a human, and so on and so forth. So we like to take our spiders outside and blow Om Mani Padme Hung on them and hope for the best. You'll know them when you see their big googly eyes later on. Most people have very limited ways that they, in ordinary lives, have very limited ways in which they accumulate that kind of merit. If we have a regular job, we can use these small ways. If we have a regular life, we can use these small ways, because the Dharma teaches us on many different levels. On one level, you can become a very excellent practitioner of long life practice, such as the Chime Sokdik, and that would include the constant mindfulness and constant awareness of life, and constant holding oneself in that posture of mastery over life and yet giver of life as well. And so this posture is excellent. But if we don't have that kind of training or that kind of practice, our ways are limited to simple ways, and that's only if we've been taught that life is precious. So for most human beings that live ordinary lives, they do not accumulate that kind of merit. In fact, we often do the very opposite, which in our ignorance and our not having been taught properly by society in general, and maybe our parents or adults around us, or we haven't read enough or just haven't plunged the depth of philosophy enough. We don't really understand what causes and results we gain by living as we ordinarily do. And so we allow ourselves to engage in activities that we think are pretty much okay, because everybody else does them. For instance, we might step on a spider, but then in a more subtle way, a lot of us are, for instance, very gossipy. We like to have the straight dope on people, and we like to share it with others. We like to really understand what the inside story is, because it makes us feel inside, and therefore somehow, included. And then once we know the inside story, we are not responsible with that. We engage, because we're in a group, we're in a very large family situation. It tends to be like that. We engage in some kind of undermining of each other, or gossip, or bad-mouthing. And often we think it's fairly harmless because, well, first of all, the person didn't hear it, so how's it going to hurt? And then second of all, we think, well, it's just the way people talk, so it's not such a big deal. But in fact, I've been reading up on some of the teachings associated with the actual practice of Chime Sokdik, And every time that we do that to another person, particularly if it's a Vajra brother or sister, then that really ups the ante. But even in an ordinary way, if we engage in that kind of unkind activity, irresponsible activity, mindless activity of demeaning each other or not holding each other up or not having good view about each other or talking badly about each other, we actually decrease our life force. Who would have known that? An interesting part in the practice of the Chime Sokdik, for instance, is where you go out through the recitation of mantra and you collect force that's stolen from by others being gossipy or badly about you. So it works both ways. When you talk badly and do not uphold and do not respect someone else, you actually cause them harm, real harm. There's a stealing of their life force, a stealing of their essence. They have less vitality. It may not show up immediately, but show up it will, and before the end of this lifetime. Or there could be a rebirth in another lifetime where the life is very short and there seems to be no reason for it. So life force is actually lessened, but what we don't realize, because we think we're doing it in secret, and we're such a materialistic society, we think that everything happens on that gross material level. We simply don't get subtlety. So we think, well, the person that I'm talking about, I'm really right, you know. Anyway, so, I mean, that gives me the ability and license, because I'm right. But the person I'm talking about hasn't actually heard me with their own ears. Therefore, it won't hurt their feelings. Therefore, no harm done. Not so. If you've told one other person, even if the original person that you're talking about never hears it, there is a result. And on an even more subtle level, if you fail to hold the responsibility of maintaining correct view and upholding your Vajra brothers and sisters, means actually doing them some good when you can. But upholding them in a subtle way with your view. These are robed people. They matter. These are practitioners. They matter. These are human beings. They matter. You know, and while we uphold them, we ourselves strengthen our own minds, and our own life force is upheld. Likewise, the same happens for them. There is a subtle benefit. It's hard to imagine, because we are such materialists, how that subtle benefit could occur. But that's because we are really hung up in the appearance of phenomena. And we're really delusional when it comes to that. I make jokes about how we're all drunk and how we're all like high on the narcotic of samsara. Well, high is to be debated, but definitely drunk. So we only see the really gross things. We don't really understand how it is. I look and it looks to me like you all are separate out there. But through my meditation, through my practice in my mind, I know, I am aware, I am hopefully awake enough to see that that is not the case. Phenomena is the display of a sea, a proverbial endless sea of primordial wisdom. An awareness that is unconditional. intelligence that is non-specific. Very hard for us to understand, because the only intelligence that we can understand of our own is specific. I think I'm smart if I can work out a Sudoku puzzle. No, it's not true. I hate those damn things. I don't even know what they're about. But see, then I can see my intelligence, but our real nature isn't like that. We have an all-pervasive, fundamental, primordial wisdom nature that is beyond connected. It's the same. It's a fabric. And the distinction between us is artificial. It is contrived so that our five senses are functional in this realm. It's simply the way the karma plays out. What you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you smell, no point complaining about it. It's simply how the karma plays out rather. And so we are thinking that we're all separate, and we're thinking that things are happening, and we're reacting to them, but it's like we're locked up in this drunk, narcotic opium den where we simply react to the cartoons in our head. And, I've had students go through things where they tell me the most outrageous things that they've thought up in their minds. And it involves me and some perceived judgment or slight, and it involves you and some perceived judgment or slight from you. I just hear amazing things to which I just go, like the Home Alone kid. and wonder where that all came from. Well, it came from your own mind stream. It is the flavor of your karmic field. And your eyes, ears, nose, it's everything. And all of the senses will speak to you in that language. That is the language of your senses, you see. So in some ways, the last thing you should believe is the phenomena in your own head. I've listened to some of it. Change the channel. Get a new transmitter. Do something. So, the ability to accumulate merit, as you can see, has a lot to do with perception. Training one's perception. Training yourself to uphold the view. That's the best merit producer there is. Because it's on a subtle level, right? You're not carrying a spider outside. This is view. This is internal. So it's on a subtle level. And the subtle level is actually, how can you say it? It's the fundamental underlying basis for everything that occurs, the foundation. It's truly the foundation for all events that come after. So perception, training one's perception, training one's view is not only an integral part of the path, it is the ruler of the path. It is the king of the path. It is the foundation of the path. Here's a good example. Why do I come here? This throne was built for me. It was built for me by His Holiness under his direction. He actually put designed what carvings there were going to be, determined whether the angles were going to be straight or slightly curved because each one has a different meaning. I mean, this throne is built for me. Yet, I don't think of it that way. He even allowed me to put a little hole in here for my legs because I had a blood clot once. I mean, what amazing kindness. This is definitely my throne. It fits me to a T. Yet when I come up to it, why do I act like it's somebody else's? Why do I put my head to the throne and pray before I get up there? Well, because the throne is symbolic of view. Why do we put the teacher up on a throne? Because they need a good chair? Not really. I have a great couch at home that if I moved it into here, I could teach and teach on my divan. I could be a diva on my divan. But I have this. And this throne is a signal. It's an image that is meant for us to understand how to uphold the Lhama. The throne, essentially, is for you. Lhama doesn't need a throne. But the students need to see the throne because it helps them to uphold the view. Why is the Lhama being held up by this lion throne, or in my case, the lotus throne? Well, that's because the Lhama has been recognized, considered qualified, has trained, has done some practice. Practice has been in the past for many, many lifetimes, many lifetimes, coming up to this point, again. So it's a symbol of that tremendous effort and of the blessings of our lineage. In other words, if you've ever seen the tapes of my enthronement, you can see that I was given all the blessings of our lineage. They were given to me one by one in symbolic form, and then in ritual. So my love for this throne has nothing to do with how comfortable it was. Good thing, huh? It is. Good thing. It's not that comfortable. But it's precious and beautiful. And it has meaning. And so in the same way, when we see our teacher up on a throne, we should think that in fact, at our core, we are that nature. We may be in a different place. We may be here struggling lifetime after lifetime to travel the path excellently so that we can accumulate some merit. Maybe we're at a different place. But this is a display of our nature. And we should think that our own Buddha nature is enthroned upon the lotus seat or throne of our hearts. And so we hold ourselves up that way. Not because we're cool or because we like the color of our eyes or because we like the way we look or because we like our little mannerisms or anything like that. It's because of our nature. None of that other stuff is precious. It's all falling apart. It's rotting away and it's dying right under you. The rest of it just doesn't matter. Cut your nails and move on. But our nature is the most precious. And then when we look at others, we have to practice the same thing. They may not look like it right now, but enthroned upon the lotus seat of their hearts is the very Buddha. And so lifetime after lifetime, I, for one, wouldn't think of doing anything else but coming to teach them. Coming to help them awaken so that their Buddha nature is there for all to see, including themselves. So this is why I would commit to such a journey, because of the reverence that I have. When I see my students, I feel a reverence. I'm not going to play it out stupid-like so that my students get all big-headed, because they'll do that. And I've seen that happen where some lamas, it's just their way, their method to say, oh, you must be a very high being, you should come and follow me. And I don't know why. I've never found that to be useful. I've never found that to be workable. I find that what that does is to increase the ego. But truly holding the view, that means understanding that while they are appearing in phenomena and experiencing that delusion, that their very nature is not to be mistaken. They themselves may run away from that nature. They themselves may act out of accordance with that nature. They themselves may not further themselves on the path so that they awaken even more. That could happen, but I won't give up on them. And the reason why is that I am a disciple of the Buddha. The Buddha is my very father. Guru Rinpoche is my spiritual father, my friend, my consort, my everything. And he appears as His Holiness Pena Rinpoche in this lifetime. I have the best boyfriend in the world. So when I see each of these students, do I say, oh, Guru Rinpoche is over there in that statue? Or do I say he's in that mandala? Or do I say he's in His Holiness? Do I say like that? No. To give rise to view, you don't get to pick and choose. View is view. So when you attain view, you must leave aside these worldly habits of speaking harshly or badly to one another, of gossiping about one another, of causing harm to one another, of not upholding one another, because that is part of your path. So you can see that training the mind is of the utmost importance. One of the most obvious elements of that I see is that we are sick with a disease of low expectations. We think of ourselves as ordinary and we don't expect much of ourselves. And the disease is more and more prevalent, I think, as modern times become more and more modern. The world is looking so degenerate in so many ways that we're not out killing people in a different country is good, right? Well, yeah, I suppose so. It is absolutely good. I'm really glad I didn't raise you people to go off and fight somewhere. That's really good. But for us, mindfulness has got to be so much more deep and profound and meaningful. Mindfulness has to be about upholding the view in all living beings, no matter what phenomena is displayed. And you have to ask a lot of yourself. It's so important for us to be on the job regarding this. We let our minds, for instance, run wild like monkeys. Oh, my goodness. All over the place. And then, when we get sick of listening to ourselves, we scream in our own heads. Shut up! I don't want to listen to this anymore. That's when you know you're in trouble. Because who's talking? Uh-huh. So not training in mindfulness, the mind is actually, we're thinking of it as a mind stream, like a fabric. Almost like a subtle organ of some sort, a large field or fabric. When we don't train the mind becomes inflamed. Inflamed like if you have a patch of skin that has been tainted by poison ivy or something, poison sumac or something like that, or some bad detergent or something, and suddenly the whole piece of your skin gets all flaky. Oh, flaky, listen to that. And red and inflamed. And that's how our mind gets. When we let our mind constantly roll around in the shit and mud with ordinary view. A metaphor would be poison ivy. Then our minds become inflamed, and we start to have these ideas that we never had before. And we don't even check them for veracity. We're just so in love with our own inner voices and all the excitement in there. We don't even check it to see if anything going on in our heads is worth 2 cents. We let it go on, we let it go on, we let it go on. We let the mind become more inflated, more inflamed, and then the mind weakens. Because what happens to skin that is inflamed? It's not only rough and red, but if you rub it, cells come off. It's weak. The actual fabric of the skin becomes weakened. I'm not a dermatologist, but that's what it looks like to me. And the mind is like that. The mind becomes disabled. Disabled, and a disabled mind is a mind that has lied to itself for lifetimes. Even in this one lifetime, if that's the way we care for our minds, that's the result that we will have. Once the mind becomes disabled, you have to stop and really attack the situation and turn it around. That's when you have to grow fangs and become like a wrathful deity with Vajra pride. Oh no, I'm not taking this crap. I'm not letting my mind get away with this. I'm not doing this. And a lot of times when a student gets into that dangerous of a condition, that's when you'll see the teacher become very wrathful. That's when the old curved Vajra braid comes out. Woohoo! My students know I get that look. Sort of like my dog's googly-eyed and everything. And then I start slicing and dicing. The teacher becomes very wrathful under those conditions. And why? Is it because it's fun to be wrathful? Is it because we just love to stir up the karmic soup? Because it's necessary. Simply that. And if the student has gone so far down the path of mindlessness that they're really on wrong road avenue, they don't see it. And so the teacher will put up the old stop sign and boot the old car around in a different direction and send it on its way, hopefully. Some of us don't have the blessing of a close relationship with our teachers, so we have to rely on our practice and our better judgment. I, for one, would accumulate merit so that I have that close relationship. Just me. Beyond that, I would train my mind. That more that we uphold the view in ourselves and others, the stronger our mind becomes. When the mind is sloppy and there's no view, and we are not training the mind, and it's like the whole karmic field, our whole mental field, has all of its doors and windows open, and all the bugs in samsara can come in. You know what it's like to live in Maryland without screens? Can you imagine that? Well, that's kind of the situation. Anything can come in and bite you. Anything poisonous, treacherous, really harmful can come in and bite you because there's no mindfulness. With that mindfulness comes a sense of what to take up and what to put away. Spiritual discrimination. What is valuable and precious and beautiful And what is simply the dreck of samsara? Oh, not Jewish? Okay. The crap of samsara. So it's what to accept and what to reject. This is part of mind training. And even if you start simple, like you see maybe part of your family arguing in a way that they traditionally do, you just look at them and you say, it's not for me. It's not for me. I don't want that. I'm not there with that. Even just saying that makes you stronger. That little thing. A parrot could be trained to do that. But still, we don't try. We jump right in, you know? Roll up our sleeves and get right into the muck. So we should train our minds. And we should do so in a way that makes them stronger. If, on the other hand, we do train our minds, like for instance, when we look at, one way to train your mind is to see. When I came here the other day to put up the tankas, spiritual discernment, and my two eyes told me that the altars were a mess. They had things on them that shouldn't be there. Inappropriate things. I talked about it last week a little bit. I mean, they're okay things. They weren't like, it's not like a copy of Playboy was on the altar. But they were not, they shouldn't be there. That's not how you do an altar. So there was a spiritual discrimination factor there. And then having cleaned off the altars, can't explain to you how much better I felt. I felt like I had taken a super spa bath, inside and out. I could breathe deeper. Now I know that's just me because I'm really tuned into that kind of stuff. But my own personal experience has been, and even this is true with other people, when you're self-absorbed and you're not training your mind and you're just buzzing around in your own little bee in a jar thing, you know, when that's happening, you don't even see what's right in front of you. You are in danger on your spiritual path because you're totally mindless and you're not maintaining the view. And again, your screen doors are all open, no screens. So you're getting bit all the time. And, but the other side of it is that if you are training your mind, I've noticed that not only does your perception become more clear, your thoughts level out, you can see better. Once people began to look and see what it looked like when we cleaned everything up, they went, oh yeah, of course that's right. And I know that people that train their mind well see different colors, hear music differently, hear tone differently, hear their own voice differently. The eyes work different. The eyes are part of the brain. All of the senses work differently. When we are constantly reinforcing the view and therefore reinforcing our stream of merit. Even as we're getting older and the hearing starts to fail and the eyes start to go naturally, which, by the way, shouldn't be happening by any of your ages. Even you, old lady. You're not that old. When that starts to fail, when the hearing goes down and all of that goes down, then you realize the stream of merit is in fact failing. Okay, it happens to everybody. That is a natural event in life. But even when that has begun on a physical basis, when you cause yourself to wake up spiritually, you actually keep your samaya and do your practice and train yourself in mindfulness, it can come back. You can bring the sharpness of your senses back. Not forever. There is a natural ending to physical life that we all know called death. And that is more the sum total of all of the merit or non-virtue that we have accumulated in many lifetimes. And so that there will be an end to life, there will be no doubt. Some of us leave better than others, though. Some of the great masters, for instance, in my lineage, when they left their bodies, they just meditated their ways out. You know, they either disappeared or their body remained seated in a lotus position. There are so many stories of funeral pyres where relics from the body simply popped out fresh and unburnt and perfect. Indications that this was not an ordinary death. We all have the karma, being human, that we will see death at the end of life. But will we perceive that some deaths are tragic and terrible, and some deaths are not ordinary and are beautiful? For the practitioner who has practiced view, who understands their own mind, who has given rise to excellent merit and mind training, we look forward to the passing, because we can meditate finally without interruption. We learn to recognize that primordial natural state in our own practice, and then when we pass into it, it's not ordinary. We don't die like a dog or a pig. We die a noble death. And that is more of a transition and a moving. And it's never too late. You might think to yourself, I'm an old fart, I can't do it now. Well, I'm an old fart too, and you better do it now. There is no other time when you're going to do it. If you're an old fart and you haven't done it all this time, better start. The great thing about the path of Dharma is that there's always a perfect moment to start. Every moment is a perfect moment to start in accumulating merit and training the mind in view. Training the mind in view should be understood also as it's not a cut and paste kind of thing. You can't take a person that you really can't stand and paste, I don't know, Cinderella on top of them, or Snow White, or The Little Mermaid, or, let's see, give me a male. You see, you guys are in trouble. Superman. I like Superman, especially the latest one. So, Superman, let's say you decide you don't like this person, so you're going to paste somebody you really like onto them and try to pretend that's real. That's ridiculous. That's not view. That's just more cartoons in your head. What is the basis of view? The basis of view is that all of us, according to the Buddha's teaching, and this is his first teaching, are suffering in samsara. Equally, we wish to be happy. And in our nature, we are equal, the same, inseparable. Therefore, because our nature is Buddha, it is possible to awaken. That's the basis of view. I have this opportunity to awaken. You are that also. That's what I hold on to. To awaken as the Buddha has taught us to awaken is to understand the pristine, primordial nature that is the all-pervasive, foundational truth. Hard to do if all you do is make yourself comfortable and watch TV all day. Hard to do if you simply engage in ordinary BS all day long. Hard to do if you can't even learn from your own patterns because you don't even see yourself well enough to understand that you keep repeating the same samsaric agenda again, again, again. And so if we don't base view on, if we don't base the gathering of merit and our understanding of one another on the primordial view, well, there's no way to do this. And so we are extremely lucky that Lord Buddha himself and his very emanation, Guru Rinpoche, and all the lamas have come to us and taught us first and foremost how to live. Whenever a Buddha or a Bodhisattva comes to the world, the first thing they give us advice on is how to live. Then we go into Dzogchen and deeper levels. But unfortunately, there's not much of that available here. It's difficult to have the kind of karma connection with a teacher where you can come and hear their sage advice all the time. You know, it's difficult. The karma is just not for that. And even, you know, with His Holiness Pena Rinpoche, he comes, we see him regularly, but, you know, it's only once a year at the most. So you're stuck with me and my sage advice. One thing that I have noticed is that view is foundational, and I've seen this in the students who have gone and taken fantastic teachings from great Buddhas, phenomenal teachings, and they practice them. They practice Trek Chode and Togyal. I've had those teachings too, and practice them. But unfortunately, they don't practice view underneath it. They have not dispelled their pride and their arrogance. They have not developed any real bodhicitta. They have not given rise to appropriate view. In fact, they look a little bit like a flashing light on top of the head. I'm a Dzogchen practitioner, I'm a Dzogchen practitioner, see me, see me, see me. So I'll tell you a little secret. The teaching is that once you practice these teachings, you will never fall to a lower rebirth. Except when you don't practice them right, then you do. I actually have a dog who, in a previous life, was a Dzogchen practitioner. She practiced Togyal and would look at the Bindu light all the time because that was what, you know, she was taught to do that. And she would gaze, you know, the practice of gazing. I can't talk about secret practices unless you've had them, so no use. But she would gaze. And yet she never developed any good qualities. Not much compassion, not much thoughtfulness, not much mindfulness. All the stuff that her root teacher originally taught her to practice before she went into those higher teachings. Instead, she went into those higher teachings, and now she's a dog with great big googly eyes that don't exactly go in the same direction and look like they're going to pop out at you any minute. All that staring at bubbles. And she's not really physically that well. And she's a dog. She's here in the Dharma, and when she's not with the Tira, who is her best friend in the whole world, hopefully that's not a sign. She loves to hang out with the nuns. She really recognizes the robes. And she wants to go home with the nuns. She wants to be in the temple. She's just comfortable there. She's practiced a great deal. But she did not get that underpinning of good qualities. There was no compassion. There was no mindfulness. There was no true wisdom. And so I'm telling you from my heart, if you were my own child, born from my own body, I would not tell you any differently. These practices are extraordinary, but they begin with the instructions of your root guru who tells you how to live, how to be mindful, how to give rise to the bodhicitta. And this is an extraordinary truth. You have to look at this and understand that there are outer, inner, and secret levels of everything. And so it is with one's practice. So it is with one's view. So it is with one's understanding. And so if you crawl to the top of one of those mountains in the Himalayas and you meet the old dirty guy at top, you know, sitting on the rug, the archetypical Himalayan guru. Oh, teacher, what's the secret? First, stop smoking. Because you climbed all the way up. So, oh, teacher, what's the secret? Do I practice not harming others? And do I practice kindness and protection for sentient beings? Or do I do the deepest practices and, oh wait, let me see, do I practice outer and try to do it in a dense way and like try to collect worms and make sure they don't get mushed up and spiders and stuff like that? Or do I have kindness and loving care for sentient beings and try to gain some mindfulness and awareness of their situation, or and understand their nature? Or let's see, on the deeper level, do I just do some crazy yogi practices and really get in there and kick some stuff around, boy, just really practice and then the old guy on the rug looks at you and says, oh yeah, all of them, every single thing, you've got to do it all. There is an outer, inner, and secret level of everything. So yeah, you stop killing things and you save lives. Right, very good. And you look real cute doing it too. Then you practice on the inside. You really try to give rise to the bodhicitta. Really try to understand the view and the point of view of other beings. And then on a deeper level, you practice accordingly. You practice according to the view, giving rise to the bodhicitta, giving rise to the awareness, which will not happen without the foundational view. When Lord Buddha said what the difference between him and everybody else was, he said, I am awake. To probe that more deeply, he meant, I am awake on all levels, outer, inner, and secret, all lined up, because my outer activity matches my inner activity, matches my secret nature. That's view. That's view. And that's difficult to understand, even in an ordinary spiritual environment where we consider ourselves spiritual. It's really interesting. Nowadays, there are false prophets, false religions, false spirituality. I mean, people are basing their spiritual lives on something some ordinary person thought up, say 10 years ago, you know, or 20 years ago even. For myself, I would not base my spiritual reality on anything that wasn't tested lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, producing Buddhas at every turn. I wouldn't follow a religion that hasn't produced one Buddha even. You know, the popular things you read about in the paper, I could go on, but I won't. Has not produced one Buddha, unless you think maybe Tom Cruise is Buddha. I don't know. Maybe he is, I don't know. He could be. So, I, for one, go for the deep waters. I'm going to base my life, my religion, on something that has produced Buddhas lifetime after lifetime. I'm going to cross the sea, the ocean of suffering in a boat with no leaks. And if I do that, then it is the Buddha has taught me, and none other. The Buddha, when he came as Shakyamuni, as he has come as Guru Rinpoche, as he has come as the great lamas of our lineage. See, there are the great throne holders of our lineage right there in Technicolor. The Buddha has come like that and instructed me that one's spiritual life must exist on outer, inner, and secret levels. And there's no duping yourself or duping others. There's no secrecy. We think there's secrecy, that we could have some horrible inner dialogue going on, and because our eyes are smiling or because our mouth is smiling, no one's going to know. We really have got to give up that lack of self-honesty and practice with a genuine good heart. His Holiness the Dalai Lama always talks about having a good heart, good-heartedness. And by that, I think he means practicing according to what the Buddha has taught, but genuinely so, deeply in one's heart. And it's not acceptable if the view is not tended to. It's not acceptable if we do not examine our inner thoughts and motivations so that we can change the view, update the view, keep it flowing, keep it dynamic. I mean, when one doesn't practice view every day, it simply disintegrates. We should live more deeply and understand that our practice matters, our merit matters, and every day the stream of our merit and our inner awareness changes. It's not a stagnant thing. We look at our bodies and we think, well, not changing much day to day, but that's because we forget to look decade to decade. You know, I mean, I notice a difference, don't you? So, so if it's that way with our bodies, which are denser and change a little bit more slowly, although they have been known to change quickly, how much more so must it be with our minds and our view and our inner understanding that has no physical form? You know, there's nothing to prevent it from changing very, very quickly. It's like water. More so, it's like wind or air. And so you must constantly examine your merit stream. Check on the mind. Is my mind in good form? Is it calm? Or am I looking for things to bitch about? We have days like that, don't we? Looking for things to get ornery about. Looking for somebody to fight with. What does that say? I need to unload. Still, after 20 years as a Buddhist, you need to unload? I'm so sorry. Or I need to get away. I need to make myself happy in some way. Really? You know, after all this time, you still think that works? Take care of your mind. Train your mind. With every step, we are such fluid beings. With every step that we take, our mind stream changes. We must be constantly in touch with it. But instead, most of us are like two different beings that talk to ourselves inside of our heads. It's like our bodies and our heads are separate. Like our heads have a mind of their own. Oh. Now there's a funny thought. It's like we're floating things on top of a body. And what I'm saying is that if you practice well, in touch, with good self-honesty, the mind would strengthen, the body-mind connection would suddenly reappear. You would begin to act like your practice by strengthening that connection through mindfulness, self-honesty, and constant vigilance on one's stream of merit. That is the way, that is most important. Nanda Dhamma Dhawa
Hello again, and we're so glad you were here to hear this teaching with us. It's we do enjoy showing these teachings of Jetsunmas. They are amazing, and we do that on Wednesday evenings at 7:30, in addition to Sunday mornings at 11 here on YouTube. Last Wednesday we didn't show a teaching because we had a visiting Kempo, and his teaching was during that same time period. It's also up on YouTube, and those teachings were pretty amazing as well. So if you have a chance, take a shot if you're interested, and I think you'll really enjoy it. I found it filled a lot of cracks in my understanding. Sometimes hearing, opening different windows in a room helps a lot. In any case, also on YouTube, meditations, Sundays and Saturdays at 10 a.m. And we have daily food offering ceremonies at 5:30 p.m. on Monday through Friday, at noon on Saturday, and at 2 p.m. on Sunday. They are called soaks, and they are available on Zoom. So you can go on our calendar on our website under Meditate, Pray, Study. Just click on the calendar, and you will find the information on what practices and where to go to find them. So we hope you join us if you're interested. Medicine Buddha, we also do every day, every evening. It's on Facebook Live. It's at 7 p.m. It's a short practice in English that Jetsunma created for specifically this time. It's potent. It's got all the potency of the larger practice, and it's condensed, and you're able to do it in English for Westerners. So it's you can put in your prayers. You can have some community with you and people to share in praying, in prayer dedications, and a short practice that will help alleviate all of that suffering for not just those people, but everyone. So we hope you join us in any of those practice activities. In addition to practice, we have the outside is always open, and you can walk the trails and meditate by the stupas and the statues. You can see the various new statues we've got in place, and you can come pet the animals if you're in need of a little love back, and they are very loving, the little pigs and the chickens and all of those. Jetsunma's animals are always friendly. Usually, what can I say? We've all got our moments, but they are used to people, and they're a lot of fun. But we do welcome your coming all the time outside. As soon as the temple's open inside, we will joyfully welcome you inside as well. So, and we don't know when this pandemic will lighten up. It did a kind of a spike here in this area, and we were very disappointed in that. So we're hoping to wait it out and have everybody healthy and safe and come back together again inside. But meanwhile, we try to offer you everything we can online and outside, and anywhere you can be. So please know you're welcome. You're part of our family. We're so happy that you're here, and we're so happy that we can share these teachings that we had years ago with you now. They seem to be still so relevant. So enjoy. If you want to make an offering to Jetsunma directly, you can do so at her PayPal account, jetsumagift@gmail.com. It's helpful in strengthening your connection with her. You can put a note with that, whatever you want to do. And if you have any questions at all, just email us at kpc@tara.org, and we will do our best to answer your questions. And know that you're right here. You can also on their website, tara.org, make prayer requests and sponsor practices and all kinds of different ways of, connecting you and your loved ones with the Dharma and with all the merit that's being generated here. And so we're happy to share that. In any case, we will see you hopefully next Sunday and maybe Wednesday and maybe during the week. So stay safe and we'll hope to see you soon. Take care and thank you.